in doing what I do, it's a lot of video related things. So inside of top of funnel, we're running usually meta ads, different things like that. But inside middle of funnel, different places like that, not just specifically content, but what about structures within funnels can maybe help them work a lot better? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Video Marketers Vault podcast. For those who are new here and maybe just finding this channel for the first time today, my name is Evan Andrews, the owner and operator of Andrews Media out of Katy, Houston, Texas. And today I have a great special guest with me, Mr. Robert Segelquist. Robert is a marketer in and of himself and does a ton of different things when it comes down to the various applications that he does in marketing. I know he does a lot of email stuff. Today, we're going to be getting into talking about a video component and really analyzing videos that are within our marketing funnel. So if you are a service-based business, that's who I hopefully curate with this audience here. If we lose you a little bit today, it's not because we want to, it's because we want you to understand what we as marketers kind of go through when we're running marketing and doing analytics and all of the stuff that we do here for you. So first off, Robert, thank you for joining me today.
Hell yeah, thanks for having me, dude.
How are you doing?
I'm great, other than this rainy day, and I
I
don't
know.
think, sorry, I was closing tabs outside, wouldn't be distracted, but I don't think you mentioned, I'm on the other end of Houston. We actually met at a local networking event 2 years
Yep.
ago, I think. It may
It's
be
been a
two
minute.
years this month, actually. I think it was
Yeah.
June 2 years
Yep.
ago.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, but
Yeah.
this cruddy weather's been a cruddy morning, but then,
I know
can't do anything about it, smile and go.
my wife's been tracking the weather for the last like week or whatever, and it hasn't been exactly what they've said. And again, today it was kind of like we didn't know what to expect, and then here it comes out of nowhere. But weather aside, we're indoors, and that's all good. We're doing this podcast digitally and virtually, so uh, you know, praise God that we actually have the electricity to be able to do this.
Yeah, that's the truth too.
So, Robert, for those out there that don't know, I know I gave you a little pre-intro there, but tell everybody out there that might be watching this video exactly what it is that you do in the realms of marketing that you do.
That's a hard question to answer. I'm one of those Swiss Army knife guys. It depends on what you need filled, and
Mm,
it's very hard to define that. But in a high level explanation, I come in the back end and pull a couple levers and make money happen. Rainmaker, if you will. I just know how to clean up operations, how to make processes happen, and then some different ways to key into the marketing side of things. And that's what we're going to get into, some tech stuff and some strategies and stuff that we can implement. And talk about how they work. Like, I'm not here to pitch myself per se, but talk about how. So you know what I'm saying. We talk about some of the things that we talk about and can do for people.
for sure.
But talk about some of the tech we implement. And there's just a number of kind of. I hate funnel because it's been overused, whatever. But you talk about top of
Yeah.
funnel, the bottom of funnel, or back end, whatever you want to look at, front to back.
Yeah.
There's just a couple different places we can reach in and pull a lever or two. And I've seen stuff. There's a front end test. I know somebody running right now that's getting 170% bump on changing out a video player. I
Wow.
added 45% revenue year over year with a strategy change to the daily email campaign for supplement company. And then
Mm,
I've got buddies that have added six figures in a weekend to companies with back end plays that we do. So it's
sure.
literally the money is there. You just have to know how to go get a hold of it within your own company.
I love that, dude. Yeah. Primarily what I like to do with the clients that I work with, again, my audience is, I'll call them, they're not necessarily all blue collar people, but they're of that like beginner level of their marketing. They are
Right.
most of the people that I deal with, they're stuck in like 2003, right? They're very much like, how do I get my website to convert and give me, leads and things like
Right.
that. And they're very SEO driven. I mean, they may go as far as like paying for Google. But like you just said, like that term funnel is kind of overused. What I tell a lot of people in my sales calls is whether you realize it or not, you have a funnel. It's
Right.
just how well oiled is it? What is it doing? How is it operating? How's it working? Right. So I
Exactly.
have to kind of go through and explain that, like you just said, middle of funnel, top of funnel, whatever. And then where my expertise kind of comes into play in the way that I help my clients. Right. But I want to kind of dive into that, because I know that, like you say, it's overused, right? Funnel. But for those out there that are kind of in that newbie level, when we talk funnel, what exactly are we talking about?
Um, I wish there's one in my office somewhere. I literally just found it the other day, and I wish I knew where it was so I could use it to demonstrate. But when you think about, just literally think about what a funnel is, right? I'm going to sketch one on the back of piece of paper here,
Love it. I
just
love the
for,
rawness that you're giving us today.
hey, dude, it is what it is, right? So like, you've got top, and this is a very, very
Oh,
crude.
I'll hold nothing against you here. I'm sure it's not any worse than my chicken scratch stuff I do as well.
So when you think about a funnel, and you can see straight through this with the notes on the other side here, just because it's going to line it out. There we go. Use my Bible as a background.
There we go. Love
So,
it.
but the top of funnel, right? You're very open, very wide, very broad. And so when you're running Facebook ads, even SEO is a great example because you really have no targeting on SEO, right? Like if somebody
Sure.
punches in Houston roofer, are they looking for a slate roof, a shingle roof, a metal roof, a tile roof,
Yep.
whatever they might be looking for, right? So you don't even know the right person's finding you at that point. So it's a very broad scope term, very broad scope focus. And then as they get in, they realize that, oh, this guy does shingles and metal roof. So now he's in this middle tier and he's like, oh, this is guy I actually need to do my roof. And then the back end in the roof, for example, here is just, there's somebody that does need their roof and you fit the bill and you can do the job in the time they need it and the price they need it. And there you've got the job.
Yeah.
So, but when you think about it, you have a very broad open top and people, I always kind of joke that it's almost more of a screen than it is a funnel because people just kind of drop out. If they don't fit,
Yeah. Right.
they just kind of, I wish I had a different color. Hang on. I'm just getting all this. Oh, you know what? I got my big blackboard over there. I could have used that for this project. Well,
But
I've
yeah, it's
got
kind
it.
of like a filtering of sorts,
Yeah,
right?
it's a filtering because people are just kind of dropping out as they come down. So it's not so much that they're actually. Um, does this work this way? There we go. So like they don't actually go through; they just filter out. It's more of a sieve or
Mhm.
a screen really than a funnel when you think about it. Because if they
Sure.
don't fit, when he realizes that hey, this guy doesn't do metal roofs, then he just kind of falls off the side. He doesn't
Yep.
keep going down
Yep.
into your system.
Yep.
So does that answer that question in a sufficient manner enough?
No, it totally does. I think the illustration helps those that might be watching really fully understand this all the
Sweet.
way through. So in doing what I do, it's a lot of video related things. So inside of top of funnel, we're running usually meta ads, different things like that. But inside middle of funnel, different places like that. What are what are some structures within that, not just like content that we can put in there like
Right.
we're talking about, and we'll get into like VSL funnels and whatever a little bit later in today's episode, but not just specifically content, but what about structures within funnels can maybe help them work a lot better?
So there's a number of different models, and I would assume that most people, again, providers are looking at a book a call of some variety. So you're
Mm-hmm.
driving people from an ad, organic post, whatever that front end is, whatever that top of that funnel thing is, into some way you're trying to get them to book a call. So you're trying to convince
Mm-hmm.
them on a page, hey, I'm the guy that can do this thing. Call me. Either it's literally call me or give me a contact form so I can call you, or it might just be straight to book a on-site inspection, audit, whatever it might be, depending on what their
Yeah.
service is, right? Um,
Sure.
and there's a difference too in what the person's looking for. Because if it's somebody that, hey, my toilet's overflowing right now, they want a number to call and they want you there 30 minutes ago, right? They don't actually want to
Sure.
submit a contact form that you might get back to in 24 hours. And that's where
Sure.
speed to lead, and I know you do a bunch of GHL
Yep.
stuff, that's where speed to
Yep.
lead comes into play.
Yep.
And having, an auto dial that calls you and says, hey, you've got a new lead, call the guy right now, kind of a thing.
Yep. Yeah.
So, or they can just call you directly. Um,
True.
but that's, yeah, really, you just want a phone they can call directly. But
Right.
generally, y'all are, say, most people are probably going to be in a book a call of some structure, that
Yep.
kind of a thing. So you're going to have a sales page of, hey, I'm the right guy. And then either the bottom of that page, y'all are on the bottom page. Don't be making multi-page stuff because then we get into this whole stupidity of technology and whatnot. But the bottom of that
Right.
page is going to have a contact form, a call us button, whatever that CTA call to action event is, and then behind that it might have a calendar page, right? If
Yep.
it's hey, book a roof inspection, and you've got a
Sure.
page that has you've got 4 or 5 different inspectors that can come out, and you've got their calendars all linked into one Calendly booking or GHL booking or whatever you're using,
Yep.
and you have the ability to book that call at that point. So that's coarsely what I would suspect most people are looking at with this within this world.
No, 100%. That's the basic book a call funnel is what I set up for any of the clients that I work with, because that's the goal at the end of the day. How do we
Right.
get the connections and how do we get the conversations
Right.
started, especially in an interruptive platform like Meta. Whereas like you were talking about, like if they're just searching you out on Google or you pumping money into SEO, that's one aspect of the buyer's triangle, if you
Right.
will, and that's fine. That's the low hanging fruit, right? But if we're trying to pattern interrupt people and put ourselves and our offers and things like that out there, we definitely have to have some of that back end availability, those tools, those systems, like you were alluding to, the speed to lead, different things like that, to be able to scoop up and make those leads that we're generating worth the squeeze,
Right.
right?
Well, one of the things, just to add on to that
Yeah, no,
too,
go ahead.
is one of the
Great.
things to think about, especially with speed to lead. We talked about it, but and for anybody who doesn't know, speed to lead is the time it takes from when that person hits submit contact form to when you make the first contact. Because Facebook now knows that guy is looking for a roof because he just submitted it, and if you've got everything set up right and you're giving that feedback loop to Facebook to target more people, custom audience lookalike, then they know, hey, that guy needs a roof. So they're going to go find your competitor 5 minutes down the road, Bob's Roofing, and serve an ad from Bob, and then Jim, and then Susie. And so chances are Evan here needing his roof replaced is going to get hit up 3 or 4 times the next 20 minutes. So the faster
Oh
you
yeah.
are likely, and there's actually stats out there about the likelihood of you buying from the first person you talk to. And then
Mm-hmm.
the other side of the coin is today, if you just go research how often people don't call people back,
Yep.
or go test your competitors, go put in a fake name and number, or
Yep.
fake name and a number that's not tracked to your company, and see how long it takes for them to call you, because it may take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 days for them
Yep.
to get back to you. So at least your competition's not on top of the ball. um,
Yep.
but yeah, no, that's
No,
just
I completely agree. It's also in like also too the amount of follow up, because like I've had clients where it's like I've sent them a crap ton of leads and it's like they come back and tell me like all these leads are bad, and then I go in there and I
catch them once.
hit the dialer and I call them and it's like I talked to them like why couldn't you like, and it's because they only tried once and they got a voicemail and they were like whatever, right?
Right.
So it's about touches as well, and I think you also understand that, but
16.3, I think, is the current number I saw the other day, and I could be a little bit. It used to be like 8, and with the volume of things we're changing now, I think it's 16.3 touches to get a conversion out of somebody.
Yep, something like that. Yeah. Which is about how many touch points I have built into everything that I do, like my kind of preloaded package that I put together for the
Right.
clients that I work with. I mean, you have to have that, because if
Yeah.
you don't, then
It's obnoxious, but
it's
that's what
kind
it
of all
takes.
it's almost all for naught. But you know, uh, we're going to talk on this episode about some tools that people can work into their funneling systems, right? And this is obviously coming from understanding that there's video components worked into these systems. So they fill in a form, and then the next page is basically book a call, and it's got some kind of video on there, like a VSL or a video sales letter, or some kind of like next steps video prompting them through a CTA of like, hey, we want to help you do the thing,
Right.
right? Um, Inside of and knowing that we're going to have video in these different pages of these funnels, we're going to get into a couple of different platforms that I know that you've dabbled in, and we can talk tech a little bit on them. But the first one is Avent, right?
Event,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And it's mostly around like webinars. From what I've never used it before. The second one we're going to get into, I've heard of and I've seen, but I've never used this particular one. But it's mostly for like webinars. Am
That's
I?
yeah.
I
Yeah, it
understand
is.
that
And
correctly?
it may not, and now that we're talking about it, it may not quite apply to the audience that's watching
Of
this
course, yeah. I was
as
going to say
much.
like
Yeah.
webinars aren't a big thing for usually
Right.
like service business or anything like that, but
I
they
could see though, I'll kind of flip that because, and this is a little bit extrapolation, but like you get the ads for retirement companies that want you to come to a dinner event, right?
sure,
So there's
yep,
probably an argument to be made that your higher ticket foundation repair,
yep,
roofing, AC replacement, where you're like, hey, look, your AC is going to go out. Come, and I don't know what the content would be in a webinar, but you're educating somebody on the fact that it's time to replace their AC before they maybe are waiting until it goes out in the middle of summer. And you get those
yeah,
ads this time of year, right? We're coming into the heat of summer, and it's like, hey, get your system checked.
yep,
So there may, I don't know if anybody's doing that, but it might even be worth something to explore is
right, yeah.
trying that,
I
because there may be validity to it.
I think there's frontiers for sure that you can put people that have never done the thing before
Right.
inside of it, and they could probably make it work to some capacity,
Right.
right? But it would just be if it would just you'd have to understand like what they've been doing in the past and if it's digital, right? And just what's worked because you really don't want to break the mold if you don't need to.
Right. No,
Um,
if it, I mean something
but
works, but sometimes trying something new can
right.
find opportunity. I passed where was I the other day? I don't know, somewhere in town the other day and saw a sign that donate $10 to the local animal shelter, whatever it was, when you get your AC inspected. $50 inspection, we give $10 to the local animal shelter and things like
Hmm.
that. Like it motivates you to go use that company because
Yeah.
you know that 10 are good. Right now, if somebody else is offering a
Yeah.
$35, then whatever. It's not necessarily worth it. But yeah,
Sure.
so no, definitely
But
try try
in
different things.
particularly this platform, right? Let's say everybody that's watching this could do a webinar, run a
Right,
webinar funnel. And what is your I guess what are the main components of that platform, a event
right.
to like what's beneficial inside of that for them if they chose to use that
Okay.
platform to run a
So
webinar?
let's go back to the financial advisor or retirement company that's doing the dinner events that we see
Yeah,
because I think I see those. I'm not even in that category.
sure.
But that means somebody has to go sit in a restaurant and do a live pitch for
Hmm.
3 hours every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock,
Yep.
plus the prep time before and after, travel time, whatever. But let's assume it takes them 3 hours to do that. If they could put a VR version of themselves, virtual reality version of themselves doing that, that's what a event does in the web space.
Mm,
So it's a live Zoom room, and it's just like me talking to, I mean, we're on Riverside, recording this,
sure.
but if we were on Zoom, it looks like I'm live. But the reality is what he has running, because Winter, the guy that runs it, is out in Austin. I've hung out with him. He has basically a room full of laptops that are running Zoom, feeding in this video as my camera.
Mm,
So I have a client that I'm working with right now that has an Amazon BizOp program, and she sells how to make money on Amazon. And instead of her getting on live every few weeks to do a live at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, we're setting her up so that 3 o'clock on Tuesday, Zoom room opens up, people filter in. Jenny is kicked back by the pool drinking Mai Tais or whatever she drinks and making money because there's a virtual version of her running a live webinar right now.
yeah. And I love that. And just hearing you kind of explain that a little bit more, I think that there is a viable option, and you would maybe kind of understand this too because of the events that you put on, the networking stuff, right?
Yeah,
So I've been a part of a networking group before where it's basically like every specific day at a specific time, you go and you sit in a room with people who are also within the organization, and you basically stand up and you give like your elevator pitch and all of that because you never know if there's going to be like guests and like new people
right,
there or whatever. Very similar to like a BNI kind of thing,
right,
right? But like if somebody like anybody watching this, if they're a service business, right? If they're doing that already on a like a manual data or not day to day, but week by week
every
basis,
week at
you
every
just
Thursday breakfast.
transfer
Yeah,
that into a digital realm and it works for you while you don't have to, and you can still go do your other thing,
right.
right? But now you're kind of like always doing it, and I think that'd be an applicable application for somebody to be able to do. So
Yeah.
that kind of that just sparked that after you were kind of going through it a little bit.
I think we're
Um,
headed to a place where we're going to be doing that with Zoom rooms, and all of our AIs are going to be showing up and having conversations and reporting back. And we're going to have a
man,
little plug pod that we're
AI
just
is
going to plug
getting
in and get a little download.
right. It's
Oh
AI is
God.
getting to a little bit of a scary place. I know that it's been around for as long as it's been around, right? Past several years, and just the growth that it goes through, it feels like every month now is just, it's just crazy, but I'm just now getting more like personally within my business and the things that I'm doing, I'm getting a little bit more turned on to functionality and some things that it can help me do a little bit more. So, I'm definitely still in learner mode with the AI stuff, but every
It
day when I figure out something new, it surprises the hell out of me.
explore MCPs, model context protocols. I'm not going to get way off in that rabbit hole because it's way down a different
Sure.
rabbit hole. But look at MCPs. We can chat offline because that's the next key to unlocking your business internally is MCPs.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to make ops more, uh more solidified in what I'm doing, and not me have to do so many
That's what
manual
MCP
touches.
is. That's what MCP
Yeah.
will give you.
Yeah.
So look
So
into that later on.
that's good. I'll definitely have to get more info from you on that one. But there's a second and more common, I think, funnel that I've kind of mentioned already, which is the VSL funnel. And I kind of teach in a coaching program that I'm associated with. I teach other videographers and video businesses how to set up and run a basic VSL funnel. Right. I think there's 101 different kinds of VSL frameworks, right?
Right.
We kind of work on a little like 3 to 5 minute kind of pitch framework that we do. I've seen them as long as like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I've seen long ones, right? I really think it just depends on what your service is and how much explanation needs to go into
How
it.
much trust you have to build
Um,
before you get
but
somebody to convert for,
but
yeah.
yeah, it's very heavily, obviously it's video. It's a video right on the second page after the opt-in. And another platform that we're going to talk about here is Vitalytics, right? Which I've heard of this one before. I've never used it, but I have heard of it before. I think about a year and a half or so ago is when it kind of first came through one of my feeds, and I really saw more inside of it. But one thing that I was very interested in seeing that it had was like a heat map feature. I've used heat maps before with other things for like CRO and whatever, but I was
Right.
really intrigued to see that things like that were in there. And for those that don't know, a heat map is like basically just like a recording. When somebody lands on your page, it's a recording, and then you can see like what they're pressing and where they're trying to go when they're interacting with you. Why do you think that's important on a simple page where there's the video, there's maybe a calendar or a button, an action below that, but it's a very simple page? Why do you think heat maps might be applicable in something like that? Or do you think it's more for if you have a long drawn out page and
No,
that's where you're
I mean,
trying to
shows if it shows people are scrolling at all, right? Are they
Mm.
watching your video and sitting stagnant on your video, or are they scrolling down and seeing what's behind that? And there's two data points. Now you're saying heat map. Did you see that Vitalytics has a heat map proper, or are you talking about just recording people's interaction with the video?
I'm just talking about the fact. I mean, I didn't see every single thing that they have.
Okay,
I
because I was
just
like,
know that they
yeah, the
had the
heat
heat
map.
map. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was like, wait a
So,
minute, did I miss something here? Yeah, no. So, but heat maps functional on a page are great because they can give you two pieces of data. One is if people are scrolling too soon, your video's not capturing them; they're just mindlessly wandering. The
yep.
second is if they're watching, say, a 3 to 5 minute video, and it 3 or 4 minutes in, you're kind of saying, hey, look, if you're interested in this, go below, book a call, book a schedule, whatever it might be, and then you can see they're moving at that point in time. Then you know that you're getting the right data out of people.
Yeah.
So that's the validity. And I would compare heat map to the actual interaction video. And I was talking to the team that they have some internal documents I can show for like one-to-one marketing, but I can't publicize, kind of a thing. But effectively they can show you when people are engaged. So you can look at a
Mhm.
drop-off map and see, I don't have any more, I don't have a binder up here, rats. But you can see you can kind of watch a drop off map of when people are engaging with your video. And so if
Yeah.
they're watching, you're going to start at 100%, and then at the very end, you're like 3% of people that stay to the end of a standard 15 to 20 to 30-minute video. These may vary. I don't know exactly what this group would fall into, but you can see where people are dropping off. And so like their goal is a 30% and a 33% involvement at 2 minutes.
Sure.
So, and one of the things that's really cool with Vitalytics is Patrick has got a lot of little tiny tricks built into the tool because it's built to be a conversion tool.
Hmm.
So micro conversions are one of the things they have. And I can only send back people who watch 2 minutes for my pixel for
Oh wow.
retargeting. So instead
Yeah.
of if you're saying, hey, are you in Houston? I need a new roof, and they're out, you don't want to retarget them because they're not
Right.
people. If they didn't make it past that point, they're not people you want to target. So instead
Right.
of targeting everybody who hits the page and pixeling that and speeding that back, go to that 30 seconds, that 2 minute mark, and those people are more likely to be converting in the long run, and they're more of the people that you want to find. So you're making your ad budget go further and use it better when you're targeting people who are actually interested in the thing you're doing and talking about.
No, 100%. I love that. I mean, obviously, like most video player platforms, they give you some form of like analysis or some form or function in that realm. Why not just choose like the common, Vimeo? I mean, I know why you don't use YouTube, but like
Right.
other players and things like that, where we can host videos and use them within these capacities. Why not just those other options that are more of like a household name?
There's literally 1,000 reasons, but the easy way to go into it, one is load times. So a lot of those are made to load a video or a chunk of the video. Vidalytics is made to load seconds at a time. And so it'll
Mm,
literally see what your data feed will accept, what your, I'm drawing a blank on the word, but what your download speed is effectively, or what your play speed is, and
yep.
feed you the best quality it can give you to get the video started.
Mm,
So there's a big name fitness coach, business coach that you and I both know. He's actually from the Houston area. That I was checking one of his pages the other day, and he had over a minute load time until I could hit play on his video.
mm-hmm.
Now it's not completely his video player, but it was a piece of the load issue
Sure.
with his video player. So
Sure.
Vidalytics is optimized so that as soon as that page loads, the video is playing. And I mean, just think about it, as you just scroll around and look at stuff, see how long if you hit a play button, see how long you have to wait till you can actually hit it again on some different video players out there, common household names that you're talking about because they're not set up for. Is my video really glitchy? Am I frozen? Am I here?
Yeah, you're lagging on me a hair, brother.
Dude.
But you're all good.
Okay.
You're
My
all good.
Wi-Fi,
We're gonna
this Wi-Fi in this office has been glitchy lately.
it's all good. I'm gonna take it and roll with it.
Okay.
I had a pretty my last episode, well, one of my last episodes, it was a very glitch walkthrough on it. But hey, we're at the mercy
The weather
of
and
the
technology
technology, aren't
sometimes.
we?
Yeah.
So but
Um,
what I would love to know personally, because obviously, like I told you before, like I doubt, like pretty much I do everything out of Go High Level.
right.
I'm one of those people that uses like Vimeo for like players and different things like that. But Vitalytics specifically, like what would be the most advantageous thing for me if I decided to use that with my current tech stack that I'm using? Like, I mean, is it like, can it like trigger automations and things like
Yeah.
that?
Well,
Like,
so that's the other side of it. So, I mean, one would be load times. Two would be retargeting because you can't get
mm,
that out of Vimeo. You can't get who watched what and send a post back to your
mm,
Facebook conversions and know what's going
mhm,
on. Three is tagging. So it can send, if you're doing an opt-in event, it can send that tag into GHL. And now you know, A, this person watched the video, how much they watched, if they got to the CTA event. So if you know that you're saying, hey, a new roof is $5,000. I don't, I've seen those ads. I don't
sure.
know if that's reasonable, whatever. Then you know that you're, they got to that point. So you can talk to that person a little differently than you do somebody who just watched the first 30 seconds.
Mm, yep.
So, and it may not quite apply again with a video this short, but if you wanted to get that detailed into it, you could do that.
Sure.
One of the other things that Vidalytics has is smart videos. So that's not what they call them, but basically choose your own adventure. So I could say, hey, you need a new roof. What kind of roof do you have? And then a question will pop up and it'll say slate, metal, shingle, tile. I think 4 options at the top. And then you can
Okay.
also have an autoplay. If they don't pick one, an autoplay that goes behind that after 10 seconds or whatever it might be. So then that person can say, hey, I need a tile roof. And then you can talk to that person specifically because one roofer might do all 4 types, but
Sure.
you can't talk to all 4 of those in one video effectively right now because you're like, hey,
Right.
here's our shingle roof deal. Hey,
Yeah.
here's our metal roof deal. So
Yeah.
you can actually do a choose your own adventure and build a basically a mind map, if you will, of a flow of, hey, I need this, I need that, I need this. So you might ask, what kind of roof do you have? Then you might ask, what's your time frame to get it done? Do you need it done now because it's broken,
Mhm.
or you just, hey, it's a 30-year-old roof and I'm ready to replace it before the next hurricane?
Right. Right.
So then you can
Uh,
talk to those people differently.
yeah, just because I'm curious from the techie side of my brain that I do have, in putting that web together within the platform, is it just as simple as, okay, we'll upload different videos and based on what they pick is where it kind of maps and goes
It,
through?
that's exactly
That's
it.
it.
So you
Oh,
literally just put your front end video in, and then you put the question in it's going to display, and then you put the answers, and then each of those answers connects to the next dot.
yeah, wow.
It's just as
That's
simple as
pretty.
building an automation map in GHL. It's like,
Dude, that's pretty slick. I definitely will have to or I'll definitely have to look into that for future stuff that I'm doing because I definitely think that could help per industry or people that I might be working with.
yeah, and that's, and
Um,
again, we're using the roofing example, but figure out where it applies to anybody,
yeah,
and that's the outcome.
no, and I mean, even just using the roofing example, I think it's a great example because there's still, I mean, there's a couple of roofing companies here in the Houston area that I do see kind of they're trying to heighten up their digital marketing and running funnels and doing different things like that. I've gone through some of the funnels and they're not the best or greatest. It's kind of just like it's usually for me. It always starts with the offer. Like the offer is just usually a roof inspection, and it's like it's not enough to get some people up off the couch to say like yes,
Have
right?
you
But
ever? My buddy and I were talking the other day, and this is a total bit of a segue on the offer though. There's a couple of these programs that'll give you free 3 day or like $25 for a 3 day vacation. You ever seen those? You can buy a 3 day vacation for $25 to give to a client.
mm-mm,
No.
no, I
So
haven't seen that one.
I'll send that to you if you're interested in it. But my buddy was talking. My buddy of mine's working in a roof company right now, and he was like, I wonder, could you give a 3 day vacation for the install period? Hey, we will send you on vacation while we're redoing your roof, so you don't have to deal with the trucks in your driveway and the nails on the
Sure,
floor and yada yada
sure,
yada. You
yeah.
just do your roof, and we'll send you on your way.
Oh yeah, no, I think that would totally work on a retail roof, sale. Like
Yeah,
obviously with insurance or whatever, it's not going to work there. But I got a brand new retail roof thing, and what I know, and again, we're getting a little off tangent here from the episode, but most roofers will pride themselves on like we'll do your whole roof in a day. So it's like you know it. I do like that offer though. If we'll send you on a weekend vacation
right.
for something like
Well, and
that,
even
I
if it's
think
a
that
1 day roof, it's still you can get out day before.
yeah,
You're not
like we'll
here the
send you
day
out
of. You're back
on
the
a
next
date
day.
night or some kind of something like that. It's what it sounds kind of like to me. Um, is it's not exactly the same, but it sounds like shades of Hermosi's like gift card option,
Right.
right? And his offer there. So that's what it sounds like to me when you kind of say it out loud. But no, I think that's a great one. But even if at the end of the day, the offer for a roofer is we want them to get a roof inspection, it's just you can't say get a roof inspection. You've got to package it in a different light, different manner, explain a mechanism, give it a fancy shine, bow tie, like, and they just don't know how to do that, right?
Right.
Which is often where people like us have to come in and kind of help them through
Yep.
that a little bit. Because at the
Dimensionalize the
end of the day,
pain. Yeah.
it's just book a call and it's get to the next step, which is just getting up on the roof and doing an inspection. How can we just package it to make it not sound like a roof inspection?
Exactly.
But anyway, um, so to kind of hone and round out this episode here, you know um everything that we do as marketers, right, it's to get a result for somebody, right? And I think no matter who we're working with, I mean there's going to be levels to that, right? You might deal with people who are doing 7 8 figure things. I might be dealing with somebody who's just trying to crack their first $150,000 year or
Right.
whatever, right? But at every level, no matter what, there's a bit of tech that has to go into it with the way that our world kind of operates in today's manners. You can't do everything simply based off of networking and a handshake and all of that. Now, I know that when you get into those higher tiers and those higher realms of, bigger money, this, that, and the other, there are lucrative deals to be made in saying that
Being in
could
the
I
right
go
room.
in a
Yeah.
handshake room and do all of that? Yes, there are. But I think certain checkpoints there for people just getting to, again, like I said, $500,000 for the year or their first million or something like that. You can implement basic functionality, and I'm going to use the word of a funnel, right? In a digital realm, putting video components through that funnel and hit those marks today. It's very much a step and repeat process that hundreds of thousands of people, they've done it already. So
Right.
it is really possible for anybody. The thing that I wanted to get out of this episode, like I said, is just so that the people out there that are watching things like this, I think we have been, I don't want, indoctrinated is not the right word, but we've been led to believe with all of the, types of marketing ads and different things that we've seen, like on Meta, for example, is that like it's just kind of like this overnight process. Anybody can do it, which is not necessarily untrue, right? But it does take a little bit of work, and it's usually from us as the service provider. So I
Right.
wanted people to really understand the types of things that we do, and that we don't just come in and, like I mentioned, tie a fancy bow on something and now great, you've sold 10 roofs in the last month at $50,000 each, and we're doing figures.
Right.
um we do a lot in the back end that I think goes unseen, and things that we have to actually think about, tools, tech stacks that we have to implement just to figure out, hey, is something working or not? Right? It's never just based on association and feel. Like we have to go in and we have to pinpoint and say, this doesn't work because of that. This doesn't work because of that. And I'll kind of get your final thoughts on this. Maybe you might have a story or a particular anecdotal piece of evidence or something that you can maybe give us on, um, things that you've had to do in framing the people that you work with, right? On what it is, what goes into actually what we do as marketers for these companies that we work with.
I mean, yeah, there's way more.
I mean,
I
I know we
mean,
don't have enough time, but
yeah, no, I'm just trying to give an example. So like the automation stuff that you talked about early on, right? Like you have a 16-point automation system. People are like, oh, it's just emails and texts. Well, then if it's just emails and texts, go write them and set them up yourself.
yep, yep.
Like, and
Uh,
that's literally, I've had that conversation. People are like, why am I
I
paying you
love it.
this much to do that? And it's like, because it's not just emails and texts. You're paying for experience and time and data. And I've done this for 100 other people. So I know what the outcome's going to be. If you think it's just emails and text, write those emails, write those texts, and figure out how to
Yep,
set it up. Because I can have it set up and running for you in
yep,
sub 24 hours, and you're going to be sitting here twiddling your thumbs for 24 hours trying to figure out what you're doing.
yeah.
So,
No, I totally agree with the statement that you just gave there, Robert. Cool, man. Well, is there any other final thought that you may want to leave the audience with today that maybe you felt like we didn't cover, or
and now I
something that
actually
you
want to
want
loop
to?
back for a split second. Something you said right there at the end was knowing what works, what doesn't, why is the data behind that. And we've actually managed to not get way off in data in tech. And I'm proud of us because we stayed on the main road, I think, today.
Yeah.
Like we talked about not getting into, but it's literally running split tests. Maybe you try the sequence that I wrote and the sequence that your guy wrote. I had one time I ran a split test. I have one of the top 5 copywriters in the world that I was working with at the time. We were running a fitness company, and I had him write an email, and I literally had our lead customer service agent write an email. And they were both, hey, I noticed you bought this morning, but you didn't get the upgrade. Do you want the upgrade? Do you want to guess who email actually won that split test?
I'm not going to guess because I know that you're going to tell me.
But who do you think it is?
Well, I would assume not based on what I know it's going to be. It's not the lead salesperson.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
was the lead customer service agent.
oh
His
wow,
email actually beat out a world class copywriter, but
wow,
it wasn't written to sell, it was written to service.
interesting.
So interesting data point there.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's interesting. Wow,
yeah,
it was the opposite of what I thought. See, just because we're all professionals doesn't mean that we all know what the hell we're doing. Sometimes that's what I
yeah,
like to say too, because in the world that we dabble in, and we can blame Hermosi or anybody who told him this, right? But we get in like the guarantee fallacy things that like everybody wants this, that, or the other, and just risk reversal and all of that. But like, you know, I can't, and I say this too to the students that I coach because I help them set up their funnels and their ads and whatever. Is it's like they'll send me their scripts or they'll send me their final edits for their ads and they're like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, I have no idea until we put some data behind it. Like, spend it a little bit and let's see what happens because it could go or it could not. And that's like, it's the shittiest part about my job because it's like I want to have like a definitive answer for you before you even start, but I can't
right.
until we do some testing and until we do different things. Like, we just don't know anything,
There is
right?
some
So
general structure, right? Like I need to know that you have a clear
sure,
CTA. If you don't have that, it's obviously going to fail. But
yeah,
beyond that, beyond a certain
yeah,
few data points like that you have to have, it's a blind guess,
no,
and sometimes the wild flyer wins and changes the world.
yep,
So
and it's crazy because as a creative, because that's the other part of like my business,
right,
right? I put all this time, effort, and energy into thinking like, oh, I know this one. Like I have 2 ideas, right? I can have a split test before I've even done anything in my head, and it's like this one's gonna go, and that one maybe, right? I can have that structure in my head all day long, and then I put out the one that I think is gonna go, and nah, right? And that's tough for people that are in my position because it's like you just don't know. That's why you
you
have to
don't
have
know
all of the
sometimes. Yeah,
variability for sure. Awesome, dude. Well, I appreciate your time today, Robert.
yeah, yeah.
I usually just leave this where for those out there, I'm going to put this in show notes and things like that. But for those out there that want to get a hold of you, let people know what's the easiest way to do that.
Robert Segelquist on Facebook. We'll drop spelling of that on the thing, or Robert at finelostrevenue.com.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah,
So
I'll definitely get with you after this. Send me an email. We'll get all of that down there and curated
yeah,
so
for sure.
people can find you in the descriptions there. But awesome, Robert. Well, again, I thank you for your time today. And if you
Hell
got all
yeah.
the way through this episode and you're a service business out there, if you're I don't care what kind of business you are, because you can likely find information down in the description on how one of us sitting here today can possibly help you. But if you're out there, check out the description notes. You can, if you're in the Houston area, that's where both Robert and I are. But Robert, I believe you can help people outside of the Houston area as well.
Yeah, virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
all. A lot of what is
mine's a
online.
little bit more local because I'm the physicality of doing all the video content and things like that. But if you are somebody here in the area that might need help with their videos, their funnels, any part of their marketing that they're not currently doing, make sure you check out the descriptions and you'll find links where you can move forward from there. But if you made it all the way through, make sure you share this with somebody that might need to hear it. I know that we kind of we're a little bit all over the place today, but at least you guys got inside the minds of some tech and creative minded thinking. So with all of that being said, we will see everybody on the next episode. Peace out.